Hi guys. Okay, so in today's lecture, because I really don't do tutorials, I try to explain things at the hardwood level, so as you have a better understanding of how things supposed to work, and use more intuitive approaches to how to, by first understanding of what a particular application can or cannot do. So when Daz Studio has always been a kind of favorite toy of mine to just kind of play around with, because for the most part, everything that you can get as to basic elements is free to make use of, and so forth, which is a whole different licensing issue that I don't want to get into right now. But for our basically lecture here, I'm going to be covering how to make use of the tools that are available as part of the Genesis 9 framework. Oh, shut up, noisy car! And how we can use it to solve a lot of problems that become something that is can be exhausting to build and bring over for, particularly in the area of character development. Now, how this would match up with, say, MetaHuman as for feature availability, I can't really say because I only took a quick look at it. And the one thing issue that I have with it, first of all, it's a turnkey system, so it tends to have a digital fingerprint. It's like how you can tell what a Pixar movie is by just looking at it. But then when the other studio comes out with a movie, animated feature, it looks like a Pixar movie because that's the way the digital rendering looks once they're at a completed end. Pixar set the formula and said this is the way this is the way we can create pleasant visuals, and then every other studio follows whatever rendering settings that they're making use of. So it creates that it looks like somebody else's stuff. And another issue that I have with it is, well, it's too good. The quality of the characters, of course, are being built for realism, more realistic rendering. I mean, you could look at it, still tell that it's digitally rendered, and all the effort has to go into, of course, setting up everything else, the lighting, the materials, and whatever. So it raises the bar of quality of your effort, say, versus a triple. It might be something that a triple A studio might want to accomplish, but if you're just somebody that's messing around, you're going to run into a quality bar where you have to kind of start matching up the fabric of your artwork to this three-dimensional character running around that is exquisite in a real dumpy retro type environment. So of course for our game it doesn't really it doesn't create that art fabric that we're looking for as far as retro gaming goes. So anyways, that takes care of that. Moving forward, a little bit of chit chat about framework. Frameworks are a top or a bottom up approach to how things are introduced into the engine and how they function. It means basically that you build something and you plug it into your framework and everything works the way it's supposed to for every other object that you're applying to it. So in this case, you would build a framework to support your Genesis 9 player models that once we move it over into Unreal 5, it can be plugged into our framework on that side, and then everything works in conjunction with one another. But then we have to kind of think ahead about what we want as far as assets, as working DCC type assets, and some of those things will include like things you need for lip sync, morph targets. Are you going to use cluster shaping, etc., etc. I mean, we could talk about this almost all day long, but you need to kind of pre-plan. The cool thing about Daz Studio is you can play. You can. My ideology is that you learn through exploration. You just start pushing buttons and seeing what happens, and then you start building up that information. But but it is my opinion that to make use of tools, you first have to understand the use of that tool. For example, if you want to build a birdhouse, you better darn well know how a hammer works. If you don't know how a hammer works, all all those tutorials about how to build a bird's house is going to not necessarily work for you. Yeah, you get what I mean? So in this case, everything that's as far as Genesis 9, I would highly recommend you use Genesis 9 because it's been configured to work with Unreal 4 as far as things like joint rotations and etc. It's all been fixed for this framework to use, particularly in Unreal 5. So in this case, we want our framework in here to do the work for us so we don't have to make laborious types of work for ourselves once we bring in Unreal 5 by simply not knowing ahead of time how things are constructed constructed within this framework. So to start with, the Genesis 9 is usually loaded in as part of the stack that we have here as the top of the stack. So everything that is applied to this, which is a lot of stuff, I mean a lot of stuff in the area, different morphs and materials and posing and stuff like that, all work in conjunction with this framework, making your work easier rather than making it more complicated. So as part of the stack, as part of the framework idea, everything that is connected to this, you can see down here in our stack here, the various different clothing items that I've applied to our Genesis 9 framework. And anything that we do up here is trickled down and channeled through our character. So that includes being able to export different morph targets, and as morph targets is a additive rather than an addition to. It can be applied to a lot of different characters. Like if you're going to do lip sync, you can just create one set of lip sync type of morph targets, or buy them. You can buy these right off the shelf, and they fit with our character here. And I bought a lot of these because I love shaping. Now shaping can that then is translated down through the stack as well. So for example, I purchased the lichen shape because I like werewolves, and I have a bit of a project I'm thinking about doing, and it's for the last 10 years. Yeah, I've used Daz Studio that long. I've used it since probably day one since it was introduced, because I was using Poser at the time. I'm an animator by selection, by choice. And I like to work with, obviously, with studio grade assets. So this is a tool, unlike Poser, that allows me to put stuff into different applications and export it. So that's the cool thing. So as you can see, if I move my injector up, it changes the shape of our character from Genesis 9 to my werewolf. So everything that is selected, I have it selected here, everything is translated up through or down through the stack and corresponds to various different clothing. So I can create various different elements as to clothing requirements quite easily. Also, oh wait a minute. If I select, where are we? Jaw open wide. This is obviously a humanoid morph target that's been assigned to the Genesis 9 framework. So if I move that open, you can see how it's translated through. But if I go back to our lichen shape, come on. Lichen shape, and I zero. You can see that the mouth is still open. Now, it should be noted that some of these targets are like, this is a dial. It just changes all the other various different dials. But as you can see, as we move that forward, our shape requirements is obtained through the different channels by sliding those up. Once again, the stack handles all these problems and issues for us based on intuitive types of requirements. Okay, so we have our character done. You can also, if you want, just to point it out, to remove various different elements. You can see if we don't want the backpack, we can just and then take that off or make it invisible. or we can just delete it right off the stack here. So we have basically a simple explanation of how this stuff should work. And once you understand that, you can go off and build a birdhouse. So let's go build a birdhouse. So if I go over the file and with Genesis 9 selected and go to send to Daz, I'm going to do this whole as a process. This is a rather simplified character here, nothing elaborate, and we don't have too many targets. But we go to Daz to Unreal, and we're going to call this for our test. And we're going to export morphs. Now, from here, we can select our different morphs to export as part of the character, and that's based on our selection. You can see that we got different selections from here that we can select for body and different base correctives. Base correctives. Okay, this is like JCMs, I think. No, not there. Okay, so you can see, just to get an idea, you can see a lot of targets. You see morph targets, like a 9. You can see correctives for that too as well. For people, you can. There is a lot just on the base character here. There's a lot of so this is how you can make a lichen out of basically a biped character. Let's add an expression. Okay, they have obviously some specialized sets, but we're just going to just select. So we got Lichen 9, which is the base body injector shape, a jaw open to demonstrate how they work with various different setups. I have this set for advanced settings. This is where you would select your version. Now 5.5 is not in here yet, so usually what you could do is say, for example, if we're going 5.3, we would select that and go install plugin, and it would allow us to set basically install the 5.3 plugin for Unreal 5.3. And it still needs to be updated to, we're up to 5.5 now, so we select Unreal version here. So it's probably still being worked on, I don't know. But anyways, we'll use the universal export here, which is just setting this on the select. It'll make more sense if it was set to none, but neither here nor there. Okay, I think we're done here. We have it set for advanced settings, so let's take a look at what we got here. Selected only. That's obvious. Visible only. So we can select the Genesis, do different things like select various different elements of our stack and export those. But once again, the top down stack effect works, and you will see that once we get it over into Unreal 4 or Unreal 5. I'm still back in a day, I guess. So we'll hit accept, and I'm just going to let it do its thing here because it doesn't take that long to start sending it out. So where are you? There you are. Oh, no, you can go away. You can see it's working in the background. There we go. Okay, finally it switches over. You can see all the textures that are coming in. It's converting it to normal. The importer is doing its thing. It's based on FBX, so it's trusted. And now you're going to get a warning anytime you export, and that is the following bones are missing from the bind pose. And these are all IK joints which have they're there, they're present, make use of, but they do not affect the skin weighting, which is what we're putting the bones into the geometry once it's imported identifies as being part of this Genesis 9 character rig, just to quickly point that out. Okay, so where are we? Lichen test. There's our lichen test. And there's our lichen test character. And we'll bring that up quickly here, hopefully. And we can now see that it indeed did what it was supposed to do. It imported my injectors and my morph targets and so forth. We obviously would have to contend with changing materials for the different characters that we want to make use of. We don't want to use the same material over and over again. But to kind of give you an idea what's going on here, if I slide the lichen 9, you can see that everything is translating into our lichen character. Like we can do, say, a 50% thing to create a more softer looking character. This could be a female, of course. We put female clothing onto it. But if we continue on up and we go full 100%, it looks exactly like it did in